Putin hotels, dachas and planes are burning in our Crimea. Trump and Zelensky will meet in New York. Europe will shoot down Russian planes. This and other topics we will discuss right now. My name is Iryna Uzlova, and today with us is Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Iryna.
Our main intelligence agency drones burned two Russian B-12 Chaika amphibious aircrafts in temporarily occupied Crimea. In temporarily occupied Crimea, also, explosions were reported near the Foros Sanatorium on the evening of September 21st. The facility is linked to the Federal Security Service on Russia Federation, and the strike may have caused deaths and injuries, according to the authority, to the Crimean wind channel and Russian media too. Michael, how painful are the strikes on Crimea and also on objects that directly belong to Putin for him?
Yeah, it was a very good achievement. And, there is a big discussion about this object, which you can see now on the picture, which is something like hotel for rest of people. And somebody asked me, somebody from journalist, but is it allowed by the law to strike hotels in Crimea? And we know that during this strike, there were a lot of killed people and injured people. But yes, it is absolutely by the law. And a lot of people and a lot of journalists, they forget that Crimea is Ukrainian territory. And by international law, Russian citizens were not recognized as a civilian person in Ukrainian territory. By international law, when we speak about civilian people, so we should speak only about the citizens of Ukraine and third countries, but not about the citizens of the occupied country. I mean that these citizens is allocated in Ukrainian territory. When they strike Russia, for example, which is also this is in the framework of international law, Ukraine could strike Russian objects, Russian military objects on Russian territory. In this case, Ukraine should care about the civilian citizen. But in strikes against Ukrainian territory, we shouldn't care about Russian citizens, which is allocated in this territory. Are they civilians or are they military? It is the same in this case. So, generally, all of this strike to Crimea, it is one more to pay an attention of international society that this is Ukrainian territory, and in Ukrainian territory, Ukraine could do anything that it decided to do. And in this case, we could see destroying of helicopters, destroying of amphibia planes, which is, by the way, the first in the history strike of drones towards amphibian planes. And our army destroyed, this is not the army, but intelligence service, but they destroyed two amphibian planes during one day, which is also a huge achievement. And this sanatorium, or how to call that, hotel or something, it is very important that in this day, in this place, there was some special event for Russian security, for Russian intelligence service. We don't know exactly the people who were on this special event. It was something like celebration of something or corporate event. And it is very good news that Russians, they should know that the Ukrainian land has a fire under their legs. And in Ukrainian land, they never could feel themselves safe. This is the important point. And about Putin emotions, I just don't care, and I just don't know. I can't check Putin emotions.
I want to remind to our viewers that Putin thinks that Crimea is his first and the biggest victory, but we understand that it is not true. But, Michael, let me clarify. If and when Putin loses Crimea, will it mean the end of his regime at all?
Yes, absolutely. He couldn't leave Crimea at all when he is the president. So it will be the end of him and his regime. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe that he could withdraw forces from Crimea. So our goal now is to cut all the supply chains to Crimea and to make the occupation of Crimea very expensive for Russian forces, very expensive also in the money measure, and also very expensive in military measure and civilian lives measure. That is important point. But also obvious that Crimea will be the last territory which will be deoccupied by Ukrainian army, because that is very difficult logistic operation. That's it.
And we see that really a lot of big strikes and important achievements on the territory of Crimea. So I think that we will do it. It's such temporism and in nearest future. So Putin will lose Crimea. We should believe in it. But we see another big problem on our occupied by Putin territory on Crimea. We see a huge collapse with gas line in the territory of Crimea and 20 other regions of Russian Federation. What processes can this trigger? How do you think?
Yeah, about gasoline deficit in Russian Federation. So last weekend, Ukrainian military forces struck two another refuels in Russian territory in Samara and Saratov. And okay, we also struck the same refineries also in previous cases in August, I believe, and this weekend it was just additional strike. And we could see that in Russia the production of not oil but the gasoline reduced, and Russians they stopped export of any gasolines. Vice versa, they just buy the gasoline from Belarus and they buy gasoline from Kazakhstan. It is still not enough for not for the Russian army and obviously not for Russian civilians. And now we have deficit in different regions. And this is, when we are looking back to the history, we could find that the 80s of the 20th century, they were in the same position. I mean, Soviet Union. Then somebody from American presidents called Soviet Union like gasoline station with missiles. But I remember this time, and I remember that you couldn't buy enough gasoline on the free market. You just couldn't do that. You could stole gasoline from some factory. You could buy it from some lorry drivers. It means it was like black market of gasoline. But on the legal market, you had very limited offer of gasoline, and you could buy, for example, 20 liter per month. The same situation we also saw in Iraq, for example, after they lost the war to Americans. The country of gasoline had a deficit of gasoline. And here we have the same in Russian Federation. The ironical is the point that this is exactly about gasoline, not about anything else. And that is like, the main commodity of Russian Federation is gasoline, and they have lack of gasoline inside their territory. So we could believe that all of these strikes, not only Ukrainian strike, military strike, but also the strike by new sanctions, they could really destroy Russian economy. The Russian economy is very weak. The Russian economy is very fragile. The Russian economy couldn't just stay under the strikes. So we started from gasoline, but we could continue to any other direction.
How do you think, Michael, does Putin understand the scale of the gasoline disaster, or is he being lied to about the scale of this problem?
Again, you asked me if what is in the head of Mr. Putin, the president of Russia.
Not had
And I
information
really
according to his authority and different war representatives. Maybe they lied to Putin.
Well, I never have been into the head of President Putin, so I don't know
That's
what
good.
he knows or what is his emotion, and is he doesn't know, and this is the reason why he does not react to this, or he just know but he doesn't care about this. Because, for example, let's say let's see the picture like that. That he knows, for example, that there is no gasoline for civil population. But why we need a gasoline? To go to some rest, to go to some what? Where? To the school, to the some shop? No, they don't need that. He doesn't care. He cares about gasoline for his army and for his military manufacturing. That's it. Like he cares about money for the military people, he cares about money for the military budget. More than 50% of all the Russian money, just all the Russian money goes to military budget. And this is the first case in last 2000 years approximately. 2000 years ago in Roman Empire, 50% of the state budget went to military expenses.
Hmm.
And now it happens again in Russia.
Yes.
And I could put
Nowadays.
here the reminder that Russian Roman Empire is destroyed in this situation. So, but we were witnesses of a lot of meetings of Mr. Putin, of President Putin, with his staff last week, with his economical advisors, with his Ministry of Economic and Central Bank and Minister of Finance. And he is absolutely disappointed with general situation in Russian economy. Yes. I don't know what if he knows about the fuel or this kind of fuel or something, but he asked very tough questions from his people, and he asked people why our economy is not growing. And you promised me the growth of the economy, but now, last year, for example, Russian economy grew by 0.4%. 0.4%. And taking into account the inflation in the Russian Federation, which is about 10%, so de facto this economy didn't grow absolutely. And he's very disappointed. And a lot of observers, but they are Russian observers, I don't have the internal information inside the Russian Federation, but internal observers, they think that this is one of the signals that President Putin is ready to change his economical advisors and ready to change his economical managers, like who worked with him last decade at least, in central bank and the finance ministry.
Hmm.
This is very important point because these people, Elvira Nabiulina and Mr. Siluan, Elvira Nabiulina, she is the head of Russian Central Bank, and Mr. Siluanov, he is Minister of Finance, were really the pillars on which the Putin's war economy stands. And they are very educated people. For example, this girl Elvira Nabiulina, she is educated on the West, and she uses Western knowledge and Western strategies to sustain Russian economy during the war. And we will be very happy if President Putin will change her to somebody who is Russian educated, who doesn't know the Western secrets of economy. Obviously, after the war, we will send this girl to the court and to tribunal, etc. Yes, like after the World War II, all the economists of Adolf Hitler, they went to tribunal in Nuremberg.
Hmm.
The deputy chief of central bank, the chief of central bank were killed during the war, but the deputy chief of central bank and chief of the main bank, which was Dresdner Bank, they went to the prison after the World War II. And obviously, we will send to the prison also the Russian economists and Russian financial managers who helped to this war. But we will be happy that they will be now sacked and exchanged with some more stupid people.
Yes. This will be a good scenario for us when Russia falls like the Roman Empire, and such changing of advisors, I think, will be the same enough good scenario, because Putin should understand that changing these advisors will not improve the situation of the economy at all, due to a level of education of these current advisors, for first, and for second reason, Russian economy lives under strong sanctions pressure and unrealistically high costs of war.
Okay, this is two connected things here and two different factors. One is the structure of Russian economy, which is also the structure of oil economy and gas economy and as a natural resources economy. This is not the modern knowledge-driven economy, but the resources-driven economy in Russian Federation. And this is why the sanctions, they work well, because it is rather easy to stop buying oil and gas. And if you have the knowledge-driven economy, this is very difficult to stop that from outside. But to stop this kind of economy, when Russia does not produce anything, just anything, they not produce the final goods, they don't produce cars or something like that, or computers or semiconductors, they just produce oil, which is not also called producers, you understand, because they also don't produce the machinery to produce oil. The machinery they buy from China and Iran and somewhere, so they produce oil and gas, sell it to China, to India and Brazil, and they buy everything, food and all the machinery stuff and all the planes, etc., from these countries. This is the Russian economy structure. So this is the easy way to stop that, to destroy Russian economy. And we believe that this week, it will be the week of the one huge step towards destroying Russian economy. Then the European Union last week proclaimed the new package of sanctions, number 19. This is the package number 19. And this is the first package which was formed during the dialogue with American authorities, with American Ministry of Economy, not Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Energy in the United States. So Ursula von der Leyen, chief of European Commission, she proclaimed at least that in this package we will see the sanctions against not only Russian oil and gas, but also against Chinese and Indian producers, Chinese and Indian factories who uses the Russian oil and Russian gas, which is also very important. Next factor is the total stop of payments with Russian Federation, because now there is some holes in all of this system. Well, generally, Europe put the sanctions on Russian banks and Russian paying system, but we have holes like, for example, cryptocurrency. So European Union put the sanctions on cryptocurrency as well, and to all the kind of payments towards Russian oil and gas producers. And this package also consists of a lot of sanctions against the third parties and third countries in Central Asia and against Chinese and Indian companies who uses, for example, the shadow fleet of Russian Federation to bring the oil to India or to China. So, but the important point that this is just a project of the sanctions package. And we don't know if this week all 27 countries of European Union could be ready to approve this new package. That is very important point. We will see one other in the United Nations General Assembly this week, and as President Zelensky said, that is very important diplomatic week for this. And one of the biggest steps from the Western world could be this new huge sanction package.
We'll believe and we'll see. Trump and Zelensky will meet on the sidelines of the Anniversary United Nations General Assembly. What are our tasks and what are your expectations from this meeting and another meetings during this assembly?
I'm not glad to say that, but this meeting will be a rather routine meeting between Zelensky and Trump. How strange it sounds, but we had very tension, very meetings with very big tension in White House, for example, or in Vatican this year, or last meeting in August with all the European leaders and President Trump. But now, then the peace process de facto stopped, absolutely stopped. It is not just put on pause, it is stopped. And this is stopped by Russian Federation also. So nobody, not Trump and not Europe, have any new ideas about how to move this peace process forward. We have no ideas, because all the ideas of President Trump, all the offers of President Trump, they were rejected by President Putin. Just rejected everything. So nobody knows now what is the plan. What is the plan of peace process? Everybody knows what is the plan of war, but nobody knows what is the plan of peace process. And this is the lack of ideas. And this is not because Americans are not smart enough, or Ukrainians are have not creative enough, or Europeans. No. It's just stubborn Putin who just reject everything and who just wants war. So the only answer is the war against Russian Federation, which war is not only the, let's say, military or weaponized war, this is also economic war. So I believe that main points which will be discussed on this meeting, it will be the new sanctions against Russian Federation. But President Trump does not need Zelensky for that. He needs Zelensky for negotiation about the peace, because only Zelensky could decide anything about compromise with Russian Federation. He needs Zelensky for discussing the war, the weaponized war, because also Zelensky is the chief commander of Ukrainian army, yes. But when we're speaking about sanctions, Ukraine can't enforce any sanctions about Russian Federation. Yes, we enforced all they could, but it doesn't work. Only European Union, together with United States, could do that. So this is the topic to discuss with European Union, not with Zelensky. So I believe it will be just, politically, I don't know how to say that. I feel that's like
symbolic
meeting for the press, not for the sense, let's say. Because, they have no topic for that. It is just because they have General Assembly, so they will meet one another. But President Zelensky will have a lot of another meetings on this General Assembly. He said that during this week he will have more than 20 meetings with highest representatives, with presidents and prime minister of different countries. And I believe this is the really important meetings with real content of these meetings, because it will be the meetings with a lot of countries who supply us, weapon to Ukrainian army, or who pays for American weapon for Ukrainian army. This is the most important point now, because United States, they approved this scheme. They approved this way to finance the military aid. This is not aid from American side. This is just supplying the weapon, and Europe pays for that. And as President Trump said last weekend, he said, I don't want to have a profit from Ukrainian war, but I have that, because we sell the weapon to Ukraine for European money.
Yes, and we see new information that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on September 22nd had a telephone conversation with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte regarding air defense systems for Ukraine and the implementation of this program, Pearl assistance program. A very detailed conversation with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte on the eve of many meetings in New York at the General Assembly about needing for real protection against Russia strikes. And we see that really clearly this assistance program works good.
Yeah, and President also mentioned, as I remember, that they have new countries who guaranteed the payment to this program. How this
Yes.
program works now? Each month, Ukraine will have the weapon from United States for $1 billion, and two different countries will pay, European countries, they'll pay for each package of $500 million. First month it was, I believe, Netherlands and Germany, and next month is Denmark and Norway,
Yes.
etc., etc., etc. And it will go by this way.
Weiter.
That that means that during a year, Ukraine will receive the American weapon for $12 billion. But you need to have agreements with each European country for donate or to donor this money from European budgets. Because this is not instead of European weapon. We have also European weapon, which is absolutely another programs. For example, Sweden just last week they decided that they add $7 billion to the program of military aid to Ukraine during 2 years. But they supply not only American weapon, they supply Swedish weapon, they supply Swedish counter missile system and Swedish planes, by the way, which is radar planes, and they supply some other machine for the battlefield. So we have the countries like Norway, who just this year they will spend $8 billion to this to these goals, to the military aid to Ukraine. So this is the week of negotiation with these European leaders, the members of this Pearl program and the Rammstein group. I don't mean musical group Rammstein, but the military Rammstein group, the group of countries who help Ukraine to supply Ukrainian army.
Military support, strong coalition of our allies for military support to Ukraine. A few days ago, Trump said, I didn't want to make money from the Russian-Ukrainian war, but I make money. He makes money, we have weapons, and everyone is happy in the end for their own reasons. Talking about Putin, Putin strikes Ukraine. Every day and every night we see civilian infrastructure objects, our civilian houses. He works like terrorist, and that's all. On the eve of this United Nations General Assembly, he shows to the whole world again and again that he is a big terrorist, number one in the whole world. And also Putin today threatens military response to any Western threat. The Russian leader, Vladimir Putin, threatens to respond to any threat from the West, not with words, but with military force. He is confident in the reliability of Russian nuclear weapons. According to the head of the Kremlin at a meeting with members of the Security Council of the Russian Federation. Michael, are you hearing any new or maybe all threats from Putin here from this event?
He has here something new, really. And this claim by President Putin was very loud announced by his press secretary, Mr. Peskov, that he will make very important
Statements.
notice on this meeting with Security Council of Russian Federation. What is new here? That Russia withdrew its from the threat, treaty with United States about strategic missiles, strategic missiles of middle range, something like that. Really, I am not lawyer, so I don't remember the exact formula of this treaty. And they withdrew from this treaty just a couple of months ago. And here, Mr. Putin said, okay, we withdrew from this treaty, but temporary. We will stay inside this treaty informally, without any signing. So I said to my military forces not to build new middle-range missiles with a nuclear weapon, I mean. Why he did so? He did so because Americans said, oh, we withdrew from this treaty. So we are also withdrew from this treaty, obviously, and we will put the new nuclear weapon missiles inside our new members of NATO in Sweden and Finland. And in Finland, it means less than 100 kilometers from St. Petersburg, which is the second biggest city in Russian Federation after Moscow with 5 million population. So now Putin doesn't know what to do with that because he does not have any money or budget to build the new nuclear army of him. And he loses now all of his balance with United States and Europe, and against especially against NATO, where we have only not only American but also French and British nuclear weapon. That's a nuclear game where Putin does not ready to spend a lot of money. He had a great announcement about withdrawing from this treaty, and now he doesn't know what to do with that. And he wants the new treaty, but West does not want that. That is the Mr. Putin game.
And he will lose. I am confident in this. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk stated that the country is prepared to take decisions to eliminate any air targets if they intrude into Polish skies. So we see Germany, Lithuania and the Czech Republic are calling for the shooting down of Russian planes that enter NATO airspace. Does such an initiative seem realistic to you, that they will strike European countries all threats from air from Russian Federation?
Yes, absolutely. Why not? First of all, that is lawful. Second, technically, Poland and Czech Republic could do that. And Czech President Peter Pavel said that he is ready to give him this command. Yeah, Lithuania, this country itself just can't do that. They don't have the modern air forces. And in Lithuania, located the Šiauliai airfield, they located the group of NATO jets of F-16 or F-35, F-35, I believe. But this is not Lithuanian jets. This is the jets of in other countries, and they by the queue. They just each country takes something like half a year and take this place in Šiauliai and send its planes. I believe I remember that before the full-scale aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine, it was 7 jets simultaneously. Now this number was increased, but I don't remember. But these jets, they are not under Lithuanian command. They are under I don't know who is this guy who is the chief of NATO in Europe under his command. So they will make the military decision if to fall down Russian planes or not to fall down Russian planes. So not all this is the technically, it is the decision of the country, well, not technically, politically, but technically anybody else should do this decision, and this is the military organization of NATO.
Michael, thank you very much for your understandable and professional comments, for your opinion and for all your time. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you, Iryna. Bye.
Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Iryna Uzlova. Guys, thank you for watching, joining us. So please subscribe to our YouTube channels, Michael Sheitelman and War and Politics 24. And believe in yourself. Take care. See you.